Good morning, everyone. Welcome to UK Weekly Dhamma podcast, the podcast for everyone who want to know Buddhism more and more. Today, I'd like to talk about Sangha, or about Buddhist monk. What is Sangha? The word Sangha can mean a single monk or a company of 4 or more monks. And Sangha is the third hidden gem. The hidden gem is the refuge of the Buddhist, the path for the Buddhist to develop practice, the practicing until reaching the ultimate goal, which means nirvana or nibbana. The first and second are Buddha and Dhamma. Now let's begin with the goal of ordination. All monks, they vow in the ordination day in Pali language. Sabbha tukha nissarana nibbana satchikaranattaya. It means for release from all sufferings and for the realization of nibbana. This is the goal of ordination. We need to vow this sentence in front of many senior monks to show our purpose to become a Buddhist monk. And the goal of ordination is to release oneself from suffering and open the path to Nibbana. In the ordination day, we leave everything behind. Everything we have, we shave our hair, live our past and futures to live happily at the present, then reborn again as a son of the Buddha. Many people ask about our own family before we ordain. I personally see that this is the best way to take care of my family, because if something happens with my dad or my mom, I don't have much bonding to worry about. I can suddenly go and take care of them. And the Buddha encouraged monks to be dependable in terms of mental and spiritual for family. Turn back to the ordination. Once I was a monk, I have to deposit everything I have, including a mobile phone and money, because we don't need them in a monk life anymore. And the senior monks, they give me 2 sets of clothes for switching when another one is washed. The objective of using our clothes is to protect our body from cold and hot weather, protect from insects and reptiles, and cover some part of the body. We don't need to care much about what should we wear in different occasions. Just being clean is enough. So we can focus on other important things in life. And the reason that the clothes look unlike usual clothes is to remind monks that we choose this way of life following the Lord Buddha. We won't live for fun, waste our time for unimportant activities anymore. It can remind us every day since we wake up until we are going to sleep that we choose this life. And the second thing we got from the other monks was an alms bowl. Alms bowl. This is an important tool for a monk to live. After the enlightenment of the Buddha, all monks gathered food by these alms bowls. They walked into a town and received food from people who want to support this way of life. And monks give spiritual knowledge back to them. Nowadays, many monks still keep this tradition, and there are many people coming to offer food in the temple. So you may not see all monks gather food by this way anymore, because people come and offer food. And there are other little things, such as a laser for shaping our hair every 2 weeks, a bottle of water, and once I ordained, I got a tent, a mat, a pillow for sleeping, and so on. Basically, only these necessities are enough for living happily at the present moment. And this day, people usually ask about money and IT gadgets. Can monk have it? Actually, it depends on each monk. We can choose to have it or not. In my monk lifetime, I had allowed 2 years without this modern piece of stuff. I was very happy with that time. However, I found that it's difficult for a monk who propagates Dhamma or meditation to not use all modern things. We need to spend an electricity cost, pay for a train ticket, use a phone to make people can contact us. To not use these modern things is possible, but it will make people far from Dhamma more and more every day. And one day Dhamma may be only something for people who can live in the forest. So it's something it can help us connect people in the world this day. And I still prefer not to use them, but as long as my two masters who have a dream to create world peace through inner peace, if they still work, I will work for other people too. And one of them will be 80 this year. And I personally want to be evident that we don't need to live in the forest to meditate. It's something everyone can do in daily life, even living in the city. So I choose to be a monk who propagate the Dhamma in the city. And these are all we have for living as a monk. And next is what we do in daily life. We wake up in the early morning to chant and meditate, to prepare ourselves to be a good recipient when we receive food from people. And we have 2 meals per day, breakfast and lunch, because it's enough for this way of life. Every time we eat, we consider that we eat simply for the survival and the continuance of the body. We eat to stop hunger. We eat for gaining strength, for tending both body and mind, and to cultivating good deeds. Some monks may have only 1 meal a day. It is enough for them. And some monks scatter food by an armbowl this day. And during the day, we usually clean the monastery to purify the mind. And we usually studying Dhamma Vinaya to paying back the gratitude to Buddhists. And in the evening, we chant and meditate again to purify our minds before going to sleep. And this time is a time to consider ourselves, what we are doing well, and what should we improve to make us be a better and better monk every single day. It may sound simple and happy life. However, there is something that makes people feel difficult to be a monk. That is Vinaya or disciplinary rules. A monk initially takes 227 precepts. It is at least because we have more than 2,027 precepts. While a novice monk must take up about 10 disciplinary rules. This may sound too much for many people, but actually it's not that difficult. There was a story of a monk named Ukantika Bhikkhu, which can show that it is simpler than many people thought about how difficult monk life is. Back to the Buddha time, there was a son of a millionaire who strongly believed in Buddhism. He divided his money into 3 parts. The first part was for his business. The second part was for his family. And the third part was for supporting Buddhism. Even though he donated a lot, he didn't feel satisfied with only donation. So one monk suggested him to keep 5 precepts, and he did very well. Moreover, in Buddhist holy days, he would keep 8 precepts. Then he realized that a secular life is difficult to keep the precept perfectly due to a lot of duties in life. Thus, he asked his father for permission to ordain. After ordination, he strictly practiced all Dhamma Vinaya. He had two master monks who were good at Dhamma and another one good at Vinaya. They kept teaching him everything he practiced, following them both, but didn't know what was good with his temperament. It caused him to become too serious until the body was thin and gaunt. His body was full of tendons, and his inner experience didn't develop much. He felt discouraged and wanted to disrobe or leave the monkhood because he found that keeping all monks' precepts were too much for him. Maybe secular life is enough. His mother monk wanted to encourage him, then took him to meet the Lord Buddha and told the Buddha everything. The Buddha just asked the monk one thing. If I want you to only keep your mind, can you do this? You don't need to keep 227 precepts anymore. Can you do this? He replied, is it possible, Lord? Then the Buddha advised him to keep only the purity of his mind. If he could purify his mind, it's equal to keep all monks' precepts, because the mind is restless, not stable like a fish on a land, try restlessly to go back to the water, which is its place. The mind is difficult to keep and maintain. If you could do this, if you could keep your mind on its place, you could definitely free from all sufferings. Then the Buddha gave him a brief teaching. The wise keep maintaining the mind, which is hard to keep, deep and always flows along with desires, because the good keeping mind leads happiness to us. And Ukantika Bhikkhu, he let his mind following the Buddha's voice. Then his mind was still and attained enlightenment eventually. Okay. This story shows that the concept of all Vinaya is just for supporting everyone to practice their minds more easily. Moreover, originally there were no rules for being a Buddhist monk. Nevertheless, the teachings of the Buddha became more popular every day. That made many people want to try becoming a monk. Some of them didn't live properly as a monk life. So a group of people, a group of monks asked the Buddha to establish a new rule many times until there were many disciplinary rules for a monk. And these are all basic information about a monk's life, which actually is quite simple and everyone can do it. And it's good for everyone to try once in one life, living minimally in a different world. And actually in my country, we have a tradition that all men should ordain one time in their life, about 3 months. Especially men who want to marry, because once they are then becoming a monk, they have a time to learn Dhamma. They have time to practice their mind. They know how to practice, how to teach themselves, so they can be a good father for their children, and they know the Dhamma. They have something to teach their children to be a good person. So this is my a tradition in my country, but now it depends on you. You want to try this once or not, but I suggest it's good to try. And it's all about today. Have a good week and see you next podcast.
flies from its nest. As it soars, it feels no regrets. Seeks a life that has more worth. Search the path till they reach nirvana.
Garments they have merely three. Day and night, feeling joy, sharing peace. With only essential needs of life, nourished by food from those who believe.
Practice and train through meditation. With contact vipassana at all times. Dhamma principles worth more than their own lives. Hope to stop rebirth, defeat Mara.
Like a bird that flies from its nest. As it soars, it feels no regret. Seeks a life that has more worth. Search the path till they reach nirvana. Like a bird that flies from its nest. As it soars, it feels no regret.